Okay, I'm gonna see if I can do this without my phone falling over, because it's already fallen over like quite a few times. So today I'm doing another shadow read. The last couple days I've done this, and I had some really good feedback from some of you that you felt like it was valuable, that it helped you. And I think right now more than ever is the perfect time to be discussing and exploring those concepts, those darker or shadow aspects, especially because we're facing a major social upheaval that quite frankly is past due. It's quite overdue. And we're going to have to walk into the darkness. We're going to have to step into the unknown, the things that we're afraid of. We need to face those things and ask, why are we afraid of these things that we feel shame over, or guilt or fear? All of that has to do with the shadow self. And these might be things that have happened to us in the past or current things, right? So the shadow reads I've done the last couple of days, a few of you have said that that really helped you, that you enjoyed it, that you found it valuable, that it resonated with you in some way. So once again, I won't rehash the whole definition of the shadow self and what shadow work is, because I think we've gone over that in pretty good detail, but we are going to be talking about shadow concepts. And so the question that I have picked today was, and that I asked of my deck, and if you want to know the deck that I'm specifically working with, I'm, instead of doing a multi-card draw like I did the last couple days, I'm going to, from here on out, probably just do one card. But this is the Darkwood Tarot. And of course the question asked again was, what are we afraid of losing? All right. So I'm applying this to us collectively, the United States, Americans of all colors, genders, everything. Okay. What are we afraid of losing? Again, Black people and people of color are fighting to just be treated with basic human rights right now, to not be murdered by police officers and law enforcement when they're pulled over for a traffic stop, or for no reason. Let's be honest, sometimes it's no reason at all. And so they're fighting for that, and they shouldn't have to fight for that, but they are fighting for that. And there are people who, believe it or not, resist this. They are against that. They don't feel like it's that big of a deal. They don't understand what the problem is, and I personally don't understand why they don't understand what the problem is. But to that point, this is the card that I drew. So we're going to talk about this. This deck, the Darkwood Tarot, is specifically designed to take that journey, that shadow journey, to walk into the dark, to walk into the dark wood, and confront and face those darker shadow aspects of ourselves in order to grow, in order to be better, in order to overcome them, to not let them hold us back, because those things hold us back. Racism holds back America. It blows my mind that people don't see that there are white people in this country that don't understand how much that holds our country back. By marginalizing, discriminating against, killing discriminately a certain subset of our population simply because their skin color is different. So the Four of Pentacles, normally this would be, in a normal spread, this would be a card, that indicates grounding and stability. Four is the perfect square, right? It is that cornerstone or that foundation stone of something very stable. It's typically a very positive card, and can generally indicate a solid base or a solid building block for growth, okay? But as a shadow concept, the Four of Pentacles can also indicate holding on to what you have and being miserly, tendencies to not share success and achievements, being too secure in the material world, and becoming attached to material things. And then even more specifically, holding tightly to those material things, but also ideas and concepts. And the question that this card is asking us collectively of ourselves is, are we rigid and unwilling to let go? And we should be trusting prosperity. So my question is this: what are we afraid of losing? Okay, the people who are resistant to the current social-cultural movement happening in the United States right now, where Black people and people of color are asking to be treated exactly the same under United States law as white people. And you would think that we would be able to go, of course, let's make that happen. But no, we can't. We have this, there's this resistance to this. And why? Okay, what are we afraid of losing by letting this happen, by passing laws that make that punishment? I mean, technically laws exist, by changing the criminal justice system so that law enforcement officers who do this are punished, so that it's not an us against them where victims' voices are never heard, so that there's not a system where there's no justice for these individuals. What are we afraid of losing? And I thought about this, and I said yesterday during the shadow reading that there's a famous quote that says, when you have privilege, equality often feels like oppression. And what this says to me is that the white people who are very resistant to this movement, to this justice occurring, specifically when this comes up, and like how tightly are you clinging to your ideas and your material possessions and things like that, is they're afraid that somehow, if Black people have all of the same opportunities, right, the same educational opportunities, the same financial opportunities, the same career opportunities, their kids can go to the same schools, they can do everything, right, that they're asking to have and to be treated fairly, white people are afraid that somehow that takes away from what they already have. Like, somehow they're going to not be able to send their kids to those schools, or not have the material possessions that they have. It's such a bizarre thing for me, because there's more than enough resources to go around. This is America. This is the richest country on earth. Despite this economic downturn that we are in right now, we are still the richest economy in the world. And for you to think that somebody who's Black, who's fighting for the right, just the right to go after the same things that white people can go after. They're not even asking to be handed a college education, but the right to go get that college education without being discriminated against. The right to drive down the street without being pulled over and murdered, right? Just the right, okay? Somehow white people lose something in doing this, and I can't figure out what. Like, are they going to take away your birthday? There's more than enough resources in the United States for all of us. And let me tell you this is something that I can't, and this, you guys should know by now, I'm super fucking liberal, right? When I hear white people say things like they're kind of preconceived racial biases and these social constructs that they live by. Trying to think of a good example here, that Black people commit crimes, right? Or that they do drugs, or so they generalize this ethnic group of people into, these are behaviors and actions that these people do, and it's because of their ethnicity. And they fail to understand socioeconomics, demographics. An entire ethnic group of people was, in the last 100 years, was still subject to laws that were separate but equal, right? They couldn't eat at the same restaurants. They couldn't sit in the same seats on the bus. There was very, very, very stark racial discrimination that was completely okay in America. Within the last 100 years, there are people, plenty of people still alive that lived through that, okay? So get that through your head in the last 50 years. And yet, you expect this population of people who was victimized and marginalized by those laws to, within the course of a generation or two, to all of a sudden overcome that and become fucking productive, and to move out of the shitty fucking slums that you forced them to live in. And I mean, the entirety of the system was created by white people who marginalized and discriminated against that group of people. Okay? So you made them the way that they are, for lack of a better term. Yet you expect them to all of a sudden figure out how to go to college on their own, which costs as much as a fucking house in some cases, right? To figure out how to move out of that neighborhood that's full of crime into a better neighborhood so their kids don't live that same life. But yet how? What resources have you given them? And to top it all off, we know data from every fucking study in the world that's ever looked at crime and things like teenage pregnancy and things like that, all of the things that white society attributes to black people, all of those things are dramatically affected by education and literacy rates. And yet you defund school districts with higher populations of children of color and black children. You demonize those schools for them not being able to like bring these kids' grades up when these children come from the worst possible situations because of the society that's been created for them. The number one way to prevent someone from a life of crime, from being a statistic, a teenage pregnancy, etc., 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 from doing drugs, prostitution, etc., is to give them a fucking education. Okay, give them an education that gives them an alternative and a way out of that situation. And that's regardless of skin color. That's everywhere. That's white people, black people, doesn't matter. You educate them. Look at the countries in the world with the highest literacy rates, the highest college graduate rates. They have almost no crime. I'm not going to say no crime, almost no crime. And it doesn't matter what color their skin is, okay? So when I hear white people getting mad that black people are asking for these opportunities, I'm like, you think they're criminals, you demonize them, you talk about how they're so horrible, right? I hear white people that say these things and I'm like, but yet the solution, if that is the case, let's play devil's advocate for a second here, racist white people. If black people are not as educated or they're more likely to commit crimes or whatever all these things that you say about them are true, wouldn't you want to provide them with an education and an opportunity to change their lives? What do we stand to lose? What do we stand to lose by free college education in the United States? What do we stand to lose by helping people get better fucking jobs, right? Like wiping out poverty or feeding kids who are starving, okay? So why are we afraid of losing? Because none of those things make us lose. Think about all of the poverty and the broken homes and the terrible shit that people live through in the United States. What if that didn't exist? And I'm not going to be an idealist and say we're going to 100% wipe this out, but what if 25% of that didn't exist, or 30%, or 40%, whatever the percentage is? What if we chipped away at that to where we took those people that you think are all criminals and we don't want them to have the same opportunities as us? What if we took those people and helped them, right, and gave them some other alternative than what you think is their predestined life of crime? Because guess what? Nothing is predestined other than the situation and the circumstances that you're given, right? Nature versus nurture. And both things matter. I'm not saying that one has more impact than the other, but like both of these things. So my question, what are we afraid of losing? What are we afraid of losing? And so from the shadow perspective, are we afraid of change? Are we clinging so deeply to these ideas and beliefs that we all have? Everybody has biases about other people, right? It could be ethnically related, it could be gender, it could be age, it could be body size or shape. I mean, all kinds of things. We form biases about people, okay? We all do it. What do we stand to lose by dropping those beliefs and biases? We don't stand to lose anything. We stand to lose absolutely not a fucking thing. If city, municipal, and federal governments right now were like, guess what? Black people, you're right. We fucked up, right? We gotta stop doing this. We would lose nothing. Nothing would be lost and everything would be gained, okay? It is the fear of change. It is the fear of something being different that holds us back. So that is our shadow read for the day. I hope you guys liked it. If you liked it, I'll keep doing this. I'll jump on here daily and we'll just chat. So thanks. I'm glad that you love it. Thanks. And maybe I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one.